open, so I'm recording.
Okay.
Now, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Devil's Advocate. This is the episode 2 of the podcast, obviously the video game podcast. We're going to start out with a little soft open. Me and Keaton were talking about Attack on Titan. So, Keaton, continue your conversation about Attack on Titan. Like I said, my friend Scott Moody loves Attack on Titan, and I know it's anime, but I've never been one to really get in too much to anime, but I've heard great things about Attack on Titan.
But first, shout out to Scott. Second, we were actually talking about Titans, Team Titans.
Yes.
That kind of like bled into Attack on Titan. And what I was alluding to is, which I'm sure, hopefully, in some kind of archived way, millions of people listen to us, and one day, and we're making more than Joe Rogan.
That would be
I'm putting
nice.
this,
With less controversy. Let's have less controversy than Mr. Rogan.
shoot, we're called Devil's Advocate. The whole point is
True.
But what I'm getting at is I'm just pushing this on our vision board, okay? That's all I'm doing.
There you go.
But what I was alluding to is I was hoping to watch Teen Titans, where I've been working from home and like to have background noise, more or less.
Yeah.
And Teen Titans was one of those shows was like, I wonder how drawn in or how much you have to pay attention to it. So during this process, I was like, hey, I'm about to start this, more or less. And I was talking to my wife, and she was like, hey, I'd actually kind of like to watch that. So
now you're
just
talking
her
about Titans, right? Not Teen Titans.
Correct. Sorry. Yeah. Titans. Yes.
Okay, I was like, the animated Teen Titans is wonderful. I like Titans. Don't get me wrong. I like Titans. I watched the first... So I was one of the early adopters of DC Universe, which is a streaming service which is now defunct.
Exactly.
It just moved into HBO Max, but they had a lot of great content. I really liked all the shows on there. And Titans was one of them. It's got a really good second season. I'll say that. First season kind of falls flat.
Yeah, that was okay, and you know more on that. But that yes, she likes Teen Titans Go, and that is her entry point into possibly wanting to watch this more dramatic version of kind of characters that she knows.
Yeah.
So with her just having some sense of interest, automatically put a pause on me watching it without her. Mm-hmm. And I know we're kind of going on a rant here in some ways and bringing it back to Attack on Titan. And that was the exact same thing with Attack on Titan, because Attack on Titan is like, in so many ways, other than Dragon Ball Z, and the reason why I say Dragon Ball Z, it is the anime to bring in Western audiences that's never existed. Period.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like Dragon Ball Z brought in a bunch of, I believe, because Dragon Ball Z was my first like dibble dabble into anime.
Yeah, that Toonami block was mine. So
exactly, dude. Yep.
You got Yu Yu Hakusho and Dragon Ball. Those were my I guess, first examples of anime.
We got to pump the brakes here a little quick. So the first Toonami block didn't have Yu Yu. Yu Yu was Adult Swim or a late night show, because Yu Yu was a little more mature base. The same thing with Inuyasha. So Yu Yu and Inuyasha was a late night.
Gotcha.
The Toonami block normally consisted of Dragon Ball Z, Zach Bell. Anybody out there that remembers old Zach Bell? I think it's Zach Bell or Zach Bell. I can't remember.
Don't remember Zach Bell. It also had Aqua Teen Hunger Force at that time, didn't it? Yeah.
No, hold on. No, we're talking about the 5 to 7 now.
Oh, okay.
I'm throwing you a curveball here. So the afternoon Toonami consisted of like Dragon Ball Z, Zach Bell, a Gundam show, and before
the Gundam show.
Yep. And before it went off the noon showing, Yu-Gi-Oh! At one point, for instance, before it went off the noon showing, it did add a little more mature base, I guess you would say, which would include you, I think, towards the end of it. But normally, before the afternoon show started, by the way, it actually had a late night anime, which consisted of like Cowboy Bebop, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, or whatever you call it, and all of those, innate animes that like hardcore people really, really enjoyed. And now Yu Yu did come to the 5 to 7 show, because I believe it actually finished its English run on that 5 to 7 show. And I'm saying 5 to 7 like 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. or something along those lines. 4 to 6 maybe. I can't remember what it was, but it actually finished its run through that, and then just extrapolating all the way through me growing up. Eventually, that show, of course, did not exist much longer, and then it turned into a 9 to 11 block, which consisted of like Naruto and One Piece, for instance, which is extremely famous, or very well known anime. And it's really weird because like I remember growing up and not talking about literally none of my friends, other than like Saturday morning cartoons at one point in time. By the way, this is a beautiful segue into I know what we are going to talk about earlier. But like Pokemon, for instance, it was a Saturday morning cartoon, which is anime. That was acceptable, but like this idea of like Dragon Ball Z, which was the first one to really break the mold of like what is a true anime, I guess you would say.
Right.
Because like yes, Pokemon's an anime, but it wasn't like English cartoons, for instance, could get away with what Pokemon was doing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Whereas like Dragon Ball Z, dude, you have a guy. I mean, I love Dragon Ball Z, but you have Goku screaming at the top of his lungs for 2 episodes as he turns Super Saiyan before beating Frieza.
Right. Now, did they show Dragon Ball afterwards?
Yes, Dragon Ball was. Yep. Yes, Dragon Ball was a tsunami, and I remember them even marketing it as in saying, "Hey, this is the prequel to Dragon Ball Z, which is what you love."
Well. I had the DVDs of the complete series of Dragon Ball.
And now, thankfully, where we're at now, with all the streaming services we have, I've watched all of Dragon Ball, and I'll be honest with you, it is my favorite. Period. Favorite.
I like Dragon Ball.
Yep, I think it's better than Dragon Ball Z.
Theme song for sure.
It's better than Dragon Ball Super. It is by far, I believe, the
what
best.
Rantor?
It's just I don't know, but I know we're kind of like I'm bringing it to the point of Attack on Titan, whereas I think anime has now been, I would say, mostly widely accepted.
It definitely is.
And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people who don't understand that because at one point it had a negative connotation if you watch anime.
Yeah,
I would definitely right, but like I mean with
not
Netflix even you're not wrong, but like. Netflix has literally made a live action Cowboy Bebop, which I haven't finished yet. I only watched a couple episodes.
Well, it got canceled.
Yeah, it already got canceled. So with it already being canceled in a weird way, I don't care to watch it now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point? But at the same time, they're working on One Piece.
Oh, yeah. Which that show never ends, and neither does the manga, so.
Yeah. And they've actually shown... Yeah, you're not wrong. They've actually shown the actors for One Piece, and it's really interesting because One Piece. I know this sounds weird, but like Cowboy Bebop, I feel like they tried to go for a Japanese version of an anime in some kind of Western audience, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
and they tried to wrap it in this massive. Something that it wasn't, I guess, when it officially aired as a Western version of what it was. Whereas One Piece, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, guys, if y'all love anime. No, I think it's Oda Ichia or something like that. I can't remember. Oda or something. It's the writer of One Piece.
Oh, okay.
If you he's very involved, is what I'm saying. Like he is, and if you actually look at One Piece, which is really cool about One Piece because I actually like One Piece quite a bit. I'm probably 300 episodes behind, so don't question me on my fandom, I guess. But I love One Piece.
I might have watched a few episodes of the very first season.
Yeah. But it does actually, like, it writes into itself this distinction between geographical locations that could possibly have someone ethnically and or even appearance-wise physically be different from one another, which is really cool. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, like, in the show, like, Sanji, in a weird way, is kind of, even though, again, it is a Japanese written show, portrayed as such, but he's, in a weird way, like a French cuisine, like, chef.
Yeah.
And
doesn't he only fight with his feet, too?
Yeah. Yes, he only fights with his feet because he doesn't want to, like, dirty his hands, for instance.
Yep.
Where Zoro is a swordsman who is
naturally,
which is kind of ironic because I think is Zoro Italian? I can't remember now, but
I think so, yeah.
Regardless, he's more in line with like the way of the samurai, and of course his backstory is through a more or less samurai. Like he goes to a dojo, et cetera, and learns the swordsmanship, and then like that's his backstory. Whereas Luffy is just like actually Luffy, even though his backstory is drawn out for the show, he is definitely a hodgepodge or a just I guess an asinine character, dude. Like I love Luffy, dude. He's one of my favorite characters, period, anime. Because like when it comes to his friends, like he's the biggest, baddest of the baddest, right? You know what I'm saying? Like he'll just kick your ass, and it's beautiful. And then like when he's not having to worry about that, like he loves eating food, he loves enjoying himself. You know, like
the classic Goku stereotype.
Dude, he is, and he's the same Goku stereotype. And this is the reason why I actually enjoyed One Piece quite a bit when I got into it, is because in Dragon Ball Z they just write the next power level, if that makes any sense. It's like, okay, Goku needs to be stronger. Oh, okay, he's Super Saiyan 2. Yep. Oh, he needs to be even more stronger. He's Super Saiyan 3. Yep. Whereas, like, Luffy ate a fruit, which is part of the canon of the show, that gives him this ability to make himself elastic as, like, rubber.
Yeah.
So all of his powers that he gains is actually, well, let me rephrase, because as it gets later on, it does kind of get into that Dragon Ball Z stuff. But for the majority of the show, like, he only is able to fight and or become stronger based off of the understanding of the powers that he has, which I thought was really cool because it was a really good way of writing, right? Like it wasn't like, hey, you just need to be stronger, so you're some kind of, race that existed in some kind of other galaxy that once you get
my final form.
Exactly. You know exactly what I'm kind of alluding to. Whereas Luffy was just like, I know I'm elastic, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be able to, I think he calls it gear second. Mm-hmm. I am going to push the blood through my body at a faster extreme. So hypothetically, like let's say if they really wanted to bring it out, oxygen get to his muscles faster, which means he can perform at a more optimal rate because of the way his body's acting.
Right.
And that's called gear second, which was really, really cool. It was just like, okay, it's not just like, oh, he just got stronger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know, dude. We're going so much change. I still got to bring it back to Attack on Titan because the reason why I'm bringing this back is because Western audiences.
Yeah.
One Piece is coming to Netflix, and One Piece is getting the Western treatment. I'm gonna call it the Western treatment, which is I would say definitely after what happened with Cowboy Bebop, or whatever, is kind of a frowned upon thing, right?
Right.
But the only reason why I say and I'm hoping to hold out One Piece again, the creator is involved, which normally that's helpful, right? Yeah. Majority of the time. And then second is if you look at the casting, they have an extremely diverse casting. Like they have like a straight up. I better watch myself. They have a straight up. Like Zoro is casted as a Zoro character, I guess you would say, as in like he comes off from that. I guess you would say. Luffy is the same way. Nami is the same way. Sanji is the same way. They actually casted a diverse set of characters from different backgrounds, different ideologies, I would assume, different whatever, you want to allude to. And it's really cool because in One Piece, Luffy's crew is exactly that. They are a set of different characters from different places who end up finding some common goal, which is technically One Piece, right? Find One Piece. But along that common goal, they all have their set individuals. So Sanji wants to be the best chef ever. Zoro wants to be the best swordsman ever. Nami, I can't remember Nami's now. But like they all have like an individual common goal that end up combining together so they can understand that they should use themselves to be able to achieve not only the One Piece, but all of their individual goals.
Right.
So I do have hope. And I do have hope that maybe that'll even bring a true Western live action, which is what we're all hoping for, right?
Right.
Because the Dragon Ball movie was terrible. Cowboy Bebop was not great. The Bleach live action, which was on Netflix.
Death Note was terrible too.
It was pretty much terrible. Death Note was pretty much terrible. And that brings me back to
Death Note too, because it had William Dafoe as Death, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, it did.
And it ended up being terrible.
It did.
Starring the kid from the Naked Brothers band.
Right. But that brings me back to Attack on Titan, though, because Attack on Titan, I think it's the Game of Thrones of anime, as the way I allude to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I am trying to finish because right now they are airing episodes every Sunday. It is probably the most um, thought out, I guess you would say, like anime, um, in some ways that I've ever watched. Like, there's no character that's technically, let's say, overpowered from just being powerful. If that makes any
Right.
sense, right? Um, it's very geopolitical. It's very thought out. It's very, I don't know. It's just really, 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 really like. I believe it's brought in an audience of just Western audience who wouldn't even watch anime, who I can guarantee you are watching it right now subbed because a new episode just dropped.
Yeah.
Like it is that like how is this going to end kind of thing, you know?
Right.
And it's weird because like One Piece you can make a live action, and the only reason why I say that is because we've all seen Pirates of the Caribbean,
Yeah, but I
right?
don't know. With the powers and stuff in One Piece, I kind of question it.
Yeah, but you can dumb them down, or you can bring them down to be able to make it meet
Yeah.
live action. Whereas Attack on Titan, man, you can't sit there and create a naked ass skeleton that stands 17,000 feet
No.
tall, you know, without making it look, I guess you would say,
Very
cheesy.
cartoony and cheesy. Yeah.
So it's very interesting, I guess, mindset or thought. But yeah, I mean, I know this is welcome to the anime talk, but don't get me wrong, like you know, I love watching anime here and there. I think it's extremely interesting. A lot of times, I think Japanese culture, including what we're probably going to talk about the majority of this time, which is like Pokemon Arceus.
Yeah.
I believe it has bled into Western culture more than we give credit to.
Yeah.
Definitely like our age as well as like people around our age. Um,
Everybody be playing Pokemon.
oh yeah, I think Pokemon isn't the second, if I'm not mistaken, the second highest IP to exist.
Yeah.
As
Who's
in,
number one?
you said that, and I'm sitting there thinking about because I remember seeing this list not too long ago, and the only one I can think of is,
Mickey
I know it
Mouse.
sounds weird. No, I don't even think it's Disney, man. I think it's Lego, and I don't know why I think it's Lego, but I thought it was Lego.
It could
Um,
be. I was trying to think of it's like world's most recognizable characters, and I'm pretty sure Mickey Mouse is like number 3, or he's in the top 5.
Let me look. We'll look
Pokemon's
it up.
definitely on there.
Let's say highest money making IP. How about that? And see what comes up.
Well, highest money
Well, I
making
mean,
IP is not going to help us. We want, unless that's just what you want. You look up that, I'll look up most recognized character.
but yeah. Pokemon actually is number one now, and Hello Kitty is number two.
Most
From the list that
recognized character in the world. That's not it, right?
yeah, you're not wrong. Mickey's up there. So the list that I found out, this is the 25 highest grossing media franchises of all time. Franchises of all time. At one point, I'm pretty sure Pokemon was too, but it is number one now, with number one being Pokemon, which doesn't surprise me because you have the video games, you have the cards, you have the anime, you have movies, you have right, you
Right.
have every kind of media that would exist. Number two is Hello Kitty, which is kind of surprising
That's very
because
surprising.
I don't know much about Hello Kitty. Number two
It's
is
huge
Winnie.
in like Japan and stuff.
Yeah, it is, and probably other surrounding Asian cultures, I would assume,
Right.
or Eastern culture. Mickey Mouse is number three. Excuse me, Winnie the Pooh is number three, with Mickey Mouse being a close fourth.
Winnie the
But
Pooh surprises me.
isn't Winnie the Pooh Disney though? Yeah, Winnie
Winnie
the
the
Pooh is
Pooh.
Disney.
Winnie the
Yeah,
Pooh is free use, but everything about Winnie the Pooh is Disney. Like everything
yeah.
you know about Winnie the Pooh, the red shirt, the love of honey, and all the side characters, for the most part, like their designs, voices, and stuff like that. That's all owned by Disney. But the character of Winnie the Pooh is free use. So, like, if I wanted to make something about Winnie the Pooh, I couldn't put him in a red shirt or anything. But Winnie the Pooh, I could put in whatever I wanted to.
Gotcha. Well, with that being said, Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse, and Star Wars are literally the next three on this list, and
Interesting.
them combined are well above Pokemon.
Oh.
So hypothetically, you can say the Disney umbrella is probably number one
Mm-hmm.
by a mile, but this is breaking it down per like individual. I see Mario's literally the next one is after Star Wars. You have dude, I don't even know what this is. Anna Pammon. I don't know.
I have
I'm
no
sorry.
idea what that is.
Anpaman.
Anna
I
Pan.
don't know. It's a manga. It looks like I have zero idea. But then it's followed by Disney princesses and then Mario. So even Mario combined with Pokemon, which is kind of wild to think because Nintendo owns 1/3 of Pokemon,
Yeah,
is
it's a
still
Japanese children's series.
yep, it's still not higher than Pokemon. It's kind of wild, man. Then Harry
Interesting.
Potter, Marvel, Spider Man. Dang, Gundam's pretty high up there. Oh, by the way, bring this back before we probably need to start the real podcast.
Yeah, we probably should. We're about 20 minutes in of talking about jack shit, but that's okay.
There is a live action Gundam coming, and it could possibly be kind of another Western Bridge because they have a movie based off, I believe, the original anime, if I'm not mistaken,
Oh, that's cool.
and it should come out this year.
Gundam.
And that, yeah, and that might be pretty dope,
That will be,
because
yeah.
I mean, oh man, I just watched San Francisco drop a wide open interception, by the way, and also shout out all the Cincinnati
The
fans out there.
Bengals.
Maybe Dragon Ball Z, by the way, is up to 24 billion. That's pretty interesting,
Yeah, it is
dude.
interesting.
One Piece is up to 20.1, which is kind of amazing,
Yeah, well, it's
Which
been on forever.
yeah, I believe One Piece, if I'm not mistaken, I read this not too long ago. It could change by now, but it is one of the, as in like its publications of Shonen Jump or whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
call it. Like, if I'm not mistaken, has sold more than the Bible, or like right behind the Bible. Is that not crazy, dude?
That's insane.
Like, you have this whole, we're not going to dive too much into
But I
this,
guess
but
it is
like you have
multiple books. The Bible's just one
true.
book.
But like you have one work of nonfiction / fiction, depending on whatever side of the fence you sit on when it comes to the
Right.
Bible, um, that has in some way shaped the majority of Western culture,
Right.
good and bad. Good and bad. And then you have a Shonen Jump manga, Japanese comic more or less,
Read back to
about
front.
a Japanese young man who can turn into rubber, who all he wants to do is have a good adventure with his friends and find the One Piece.
My God.
As the second all-time selling, literature
Book.
that exists in mankind.
Crazy.
It's amazing.
It's freaking nuts. Anyways, let's get into the video games, Keith. That's what this podcast is about. Obviously, we're going to throw it back to anime, though. And we're going to talk about Pokemon. Legends. Arceus. Is that what it's called?
I believe so. Yeah,
Pokemon
Arceus,
Legends Arceus? Or is it just Pokemon
Yep.
Arceus?
Either way,
Okay.
I'm sure anyone who listens that loves it knows exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. So I've started it. I've only got 3. I'm ranked 3, I believe.
And you're further than I am.
Yeah, and I've got my mounts and stuff. I'm liking it so far. I think it's a step above Sword and Shield for sure. And I think it's more enjoyable than those games. Can't tell you a damn thing that's happening in the story though, because I kind of just skip through that stuff. I'll tell you, here's my overall thoughts so far. Is I like the combat. I like that I can choose when to evolve Pokemon. I think the changes they've made with resource management and more RPG style stuff and open world stuff, I think those are really good. The game itself, graphic wise, looks like dog shit. But it's fun to play. And it's probably the best Pokemon game that I played recently, at least. I mean, I don't think it can beat nostalgia, but as far as the amount of fun that I'm having and the sense of, mystery and the sense of, exploring and, I love catching Pokemon, which is something I've never cared about at all. I just roll through and kill everybody. I never cared about the Pokédex. Never gave a shit about that. I cared about, my favorite Pokemon, who obviously I'm trying to get my favorite Pokemon. And do you want to know? Guess who my favorite Pokemon is, Keaton? And
Man,
here's
no,
your hint. Here's your hint. He's in almost every game.
almost every game.
Yep.
Man, that's a tough
And
one
I
because,
want you
like,
to think
of
about my
course,
likes. This will help.
the almost every game is what's throwing me off, man. I'd almost feel like Arcanine or Growlithe or something like
I
that
do
because,
like
like,
Growlithe, but he's
it
not
can't be
there.
Pikachu, right?
It's not Pikachu. I want you to think pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling.
Yep.
Well, pro wrestling, there is I can't remember his name now, but there's
Starts
a
with an
kitten.
M.
His name was, Machamp, then.
Yep.
That's what you're looking for. Machamp,
Machamp and
Machamp, or
Machoke
Machop.
and Machop. That's my favorite Pokemon in every single game. I have a level 100 Machoke, Machamp, whatever. They're
Well, you
level
should love.
100, and last game in Sword and Shield, I updated all of his stats to where he was just insane, and I gave him a bunch of moves to where he could one-hit people, and I named him Jiren from Dragon Ball Super.
Well, not only that, I mean, you got to remember, what's his name from Mortal Kombat?
Yeah. I can't remember
Yeah.
what his name is. The guy with the ponytail.
Yep, 4 arms as
Yep.
well, you know?
Yep. But yeah, that's my favorite Pokemon. So obviously, I'm doing my best to. I gotta trade somebody to get. I can either trade someone or go use those M points in the town to where I can upgrade him.
Okay, so you're a little bit further than I am, so that's what I was curious on. So for Machamp,
Mm-hmm.
or hold on, what is it? Machamp?
Machoke.
For Machoke to go into Machamp,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that you can evolve him without having to trade?
Yes. You use these M points, which I'm not positive how many I have. I saw this at the start of the game. So if you go to a little vendor, she's right before you walk up the steps to where the lady trains you on how to master moves so that you can do them agile style or strong style or stuff like that. She's right below that. And she's got a little vendor
I've been
shop.
that part, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's got a little vendor shop. You go to her and she sells moonstones, sunstones for like the Eevee evolutions. And then she also sells it's called a linking connection or something like that, which is basically saying this is a Pokemon that needs to be traded to evolve.
Oh my
So
gosh.
you can buy
dude.
that
I
instead
did
of
not
trading.
know that they had that in this game.
Yeah, they
and
do.
You don't understand how happy that makes me.
Yeah, but when I first visited, I didn't have any of those points, and I don't honestly know what those points are.
Right, and but
But
this
it's
is
there.
a whole.
It is there.
This is a whole Pokemon. I think thing they got to look into because I understand when they made Blue and Red from the get go, or I believe in Japan it's probably I think it was Leaf Green maybe and Red before they made Blue and Red, which is national U.S. Western.
Yeah.
It has always bummed me that I catch this like I'm on Machamp's not my favorite. I'm gonna go with Ghastly because I love Gengar, dope ass Pokemon.
Yeah, Gengar's
I make a Haunter, man. We're sitting there, we're battling, and then all of a sudden to make him into a Gengar, I have to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
It always bugged
You
me.
don't
Like
say
it
goodbye to
all,
him. You trade him to a friend who's going to trade you right back to him.
but he's still like, how does that make any sense, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm building this bond, but for you to become your most
Next
powerful
level.
self,
Yeah,
you have to go to like
someone
someone else.
Yep.
Because like to me, it's like I'm letting you go.
Yep, exactly.
And
then
it
you're gonna
always
come back
bugged me,
different.
dude.
You gotta send your kids to college so that they come back as a giant ass Gengar.
I guess. I mean, you're not wrong. And I guess just to piggyback off what you said, you're actually a little further along than I am.
Yeah.
I think we might have the same time. I'm just a grinder, dude. Like I've been grinding away.
Dude, so you know the Pokédex, right? And you in this Pokemon game, to fill out the Pokédex, you can't just see a Pokemon and you can't just catch a Pokemon for them to be filled out in the Pokédex. So you have to do these objectives, right?
Yes.
It's like, you can catch this Pokemon a couple times, you can, defeat this one in battle, see it do a certain move, do these things. I still don't understand the point system to this thing, but I
just figured that out today.
yeah, I still don't understand the point system. I don't know if you have, but I still don't understand.
So really, technically, level 10, or once you get to research level 10 for that Pokemon, from my understanding, for the majority of the
what
Pokemon,
gets you to level 10?
So like you were alluding to, like catch one, right?
Yeah.
And the next one would be like battle one, right?
Yeah.
That's 1 point each, and then you'll
Oh,
see
so
in
they're
the
1 point
same thing.
each.
Yeah, well,
Got it.
you'll see another one that says battle 2 at 2, right?
Yeah.
So but the only way to actually cash in on them points and see where you're at, you actually
You have
have
to
to go
give it to the
back.
guy,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Which
exactly. You
I
got to turn it
understood
in.
that, but for some reason I thought that like, catching one, that counted as one. But if I catch two, that counts as two. So I thought that the points
Yeah,
were going up for
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
I
One
went and
check.
caught
Yeah.
like the first initial level or the first initial area. I caught like 25 Bidoofs. Because I was thinking, I was like, well, I'm going to upgrade him, make sure he's logged in the system. So I'm going to just keep catching these Bidoofs because it's super easy. So I caught like 25 Bidoofs. And I turned in. It did. I mean, it did give it to me, but I was like, "What? Like, is that what I'm gonna have to do for every single Pokemon? I'm gonna have to catch like 25 of them?" Because then, I caught only like 3 of the Wurmples or whatever, the little worms, and or the caterpillars, and I turned that in, and it was like, "Oh yeah, you got that one too," and I'm like, "How?" I'm like, "I didn't even catch 3 of them," but apparently I saw it do a certain move, and then I battled 2 of them. So
if you actually, you hit down your D-pad, it'll give you a bevy of options. Is the best way to say it, and they'll consist of even some of them, catch them in a sneak attack or attack them in a sneak attack or whatever it may be. And each one is 1 point per each level. So like if there's 6 different things, and one of them could be like, watch this Pokemon use tackle, for instance. That'll be 1 point. But the next one will be like, watch this Pokemon use tackle 4 times. So to get 1 more point, you have to see it do it 4 times, if that makes any sense.
Gotcha.
And just, I don't know if you know this, but anyone who wants to listen to this, once you get the 10, which I would assume, I'm going to call it like base mastery, which I don't know if that's the word they're going to say. But if you get to 10, it kind of shows you like a complete Pokedex. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it gives you the actual like not definition, but semi-paragraph of that Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you more insight on that Pokemon.
Yes.
But if you get to 10, it actually creates a shiny reroll, by the way. So if you if you get to 10, you have a slightly higher odds of running into a shiny version of that Pokemon in the open world.
I've heard that the time dilations or whatever, which you haven't probably ran into yet.
Right.
But when you do, you go, or not the time dilations. There's time dilations, and then there's outbreaks, mass outbreaks.
Right, mass outbreaks.
And if you go to those mass outbreaks, I've heard that you have a better chance of getting a shiny going to those too.
And if you have a level 10 Pokedex entry, you have an even higher chance.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and if you have a complete, which I believe if a complete is if you literally do everything on the Pokedex page for that Pokemon. And I'm talking about all the way through all the battles, all the catches, all the moves seen, all the moves used as you using I'm talking about complete, like a mastery. I don't know what's called yet because I haven't got that far. But I was curious because we're going to, dive into this because I haven't shared any of my base thoughts, but that even gives you a higher chance of catching a shiny.
Oh.
Because I've actually already caught a shiny.
Have you really? What'd you get?
A Wurmple.
Ah. That's still
it's
cool,
just crazy, dude.
It's still freaking
cool. I was just roaming around, and it was like a purple Wurmple, and I was like, "Whoa, I gotta catch this guy, right?"
Exactly.
Yeah. And it was just kind of interesting. And then I actually found an Eevee as well because
I have an Eevee as well.
I've been grinding away, and Eevee is actually
in the first area.
Yep, he's a rare spawn on the first area.
Yep.
And then I was really curious, and again, this is because I only do this because I'm trying to expand, or not expand. I just don't want to go down the wrong path. So I actually had to look up what and how to evolve the Eevee.
Yeah, you gotta get
because
the stones, right?
originally it's the stones, and for the
It's not the
original,
stones now?
including I believe no. So for Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon, it's all
Yeah.
stones, and I believe Leafeon and Glaceon are both stones as well.
Right.
But for Sylveon, Umbreon, and Espeon, you actually have to have max friendship. And then this is where it's different. And anyone who's listening to this, take this to account. If the Eevee has any fairy move and
Okay, so
has
mine
max
does right
friend,
now.
yeah, and has max friendship, you can choose to evolve it, which I love that feature, by the way. You kind of hinted on it already.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you said that feature. You can choose to evolve it whenever you choose to, as long as it has a fairy move, max friendship, it will evolve into Sylveon,
Okay.
which is the fairy type.
Right.
If you have max friendship and you want to Espeon, you have to remove all fairy moves and evolve it during the day. That gets you an Espeon. If you want an Umbreon,
You
same
evolve it during the
thing
night.
during the night. Yeah,
Cool.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other things that are very thoughtful with this new entry in Pokemon.
Right.
And that's where I'm just going to jump into like. Now we've been playing games for years, and
Yeah.
Pokemon was probably one of my first games that I dropped
Same.
40 hours into, beat it, went to the final four. Like it was,
So what was your first Pokemon? Mine was I would say mine's technically yellow version on the Game Boy Color.
yeah, mine's
Technically,
blue.
yeah, technically it's yellow. I did play the gold and silver, and what was the one after that?
Gold, silver, emerald.
No, gold, silver. There was another
It's
one. It was the one that had the
and,
blue horse thing on the cover.
so it started. Gen 1 is red, blue.
Red, blue, and
Gen
yellow.
2
Gen
is
2
gold,
is
silver.
gold,
Hold on, yeah,
silver.
I can't think of a third
I
one. Hold
can't
on.
think of it either.
The third, no, I'm talking about like the third game in each entry because yellow was the third one,
Yeah,
and gold, silver, it was.
I'm looking it up.
I'm leaning towards platinum, but I don't think it was crystal. Crystal was
Crystal.
gold, silver.
You're right.
Gold, Gen 3 was sapphire, ruby, with emerald being the third game. Gen 4 was emerald and not emerald, pearl. We're just playing them right now. They just released in November. Shining pearl and diamond.
Yeah.
Pearl, diamond, and platinum, I
Diamond and
believe.
pearl and platinum. Yep. Then there was
Gen 5 was black and white.
black and white.
Gen 6 was.
Black
This is
and
where
white
I'm gonna get a
too,
little.
right?
Oh no, Gen 6. So the gens based off the way the best way to remember it is based off the starters. So Gen 6 would have been.
I didn't play
Come
any of
on.
these. After 3
Yeah.
it was where I cut off, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, don't answer this for me because I want to see if I can get this. So after black and white, which was at the
DS.
point in time was a soft reset, and it did end up being a soft reset because people ended up missing, I guess you would say, the nostalgic portion of Pokemon, and that's what makes Pokemon, I guess, beautiful, and people love it because you have nostalgia and you have the newness constantly, right?
Right.
So you can have a Pikachu, but you can also have a whatever,
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a brilliant idea. I say whatever because because a lot of people get really caught up in the starters.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say honestly, after Gen 5, I really want to say it was XY,
That
which was the
sounds
first,
right.
which was the first 3D version on 3DS, and then X and Y after that was Sun and Moon, and then Sword and Shield.
What
Which
about
I
Black and
think
White 2? Was that just like the
so. Black and White
was it
2
a
was
remake of
the
the first two with extra
kind
stuff?
of yeah. So
Gotcha.
Black and White 2 was the variation of what like Crystal would have been, or
Gotcha, okay.
what Emerald or Yellow would have been for Gen 1.
Gotcha, okay.
So, because if you don't, even with that being said, like Sun and Moon, for instance, they had
Ultra
versions
Sun,
called
Ultra Moon.
Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and some people were like, "Hey, are we going to get that for Sword and Shield?" Which I don't think we are. And the
No,
reason why
not
I
with
say
those
that,
DLCs and stuff.
and we just got the DLC. I think took that over, as well as we just got Arceus as well.
Yep.
So I think like that was left in some way behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of hoping because a lot of time it was just a rehash,
Yeah.
It was 80% of the same game for
Right.
sure. So, but yeah, that was just a recount of it.
Do you think that they're going to lose sales because this is only one title?
Man, I hope not. And the reason why I say that is because this is is it the most fun? I'm trying to look for the right word. For Pokemon,
It's the most different for sure.
it is the most like I want to play this game.
Yeah.
I've been playing through Diamond and Pearl,
I don't
whatever the
think it
remake
feels
is
like a
now.
baby game either. There's some
Yeah,
difficulty to it.
for sure. And Diamond and Pearl has been a grind for me. And I'm not, again, I beat it, what, 10, 15 years ago
My
for sure.
brother, who's insane, is obsessed with Pokemon games. He's played all of them. He just beat the newest, Brilliant Diamond,
Yeah.
Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, whatever it is. I bought it for him for his birthday or Christmas, sorry. And he did the Nuzlocke challenge and beat the game.
I have no idea what that is.
You don't know what a Nuzlocke challenge is?
I
Nuzlocke
know.
challenge is where if you play the Pokemon game, any Pokemon game, you name every Pokemon you get, and if that Pokemon dies, it dies. You can't use it anymore.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's kind of
it
like
makes the
a
game a lot
yeah,
harder.
yeah. You can't let them faint in any way. Okay, that actually be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I got 8 gems on that game, and was about to roll to the final four, and this game came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even want to put that other game on my Switch. I mean, this version of whatever Pokemon is, and I believe is kind of the blueprint of what I'm hoping the future will be. And what I mean by that is like you're not wrong, dude. This game looks like a GameCube game.
What gets
And I'll
me
be honest,
is there's points where the draw distance is the problem. I don't think it's that ugly of a game. It's that it can't, for whatever reason, the draw distance can't like compute further than, looking to the end of my bedroom behind me. That's as far
I
as
do.
that draw distance goes.
I don't even think it's the draw distance as much as like. In all honesty, man, this is first of all mind blowing because I've been thinking about this a lot today before we got on this call. Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
That game came out in 2017.
Yeah.
To me, that game looks better, it operates
Oh, yeah.
better, it flows better
Yep.
than like a game of Skyrim. I know that's prior too, but like
Yeah.
that game, and dude, it's only like a 6 GB download if you do it digital.
Mm-hmm.
I had zero idea what devil Nintendo is making sacrifices to be able to make that game and run with that engine. And that like it's mind blowing, dude. Even to this day, if you play Breath of the Wild, which is a completely open world game, beautiful in almost all like aspects. And again, that's beautiful through art, but it is still beautiful. Draw distance is still phenomenal. And then when you factor in a ever evolving physics engine, which is, by the way, one of the best physics engines that's ever existed in any open world,
Right.
blows my mind. And then you have Pokemon, all right, which we just discussed is one of the highest selling and grossing IPs of all time.
Yeah.
And they decide to make a game a little more open in some aspects, which is what Arceus is. And don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it. I think immensely because it's
The gameplay's fun.
when we were playing Pokemon like Yellow for you, and I
Yeah.
played Yellow as well. It's literally more of our imagination of when we played that game. Because when we were playing that game, we watched the anime,
Yep.
and we were extrapolating like, oh,
Yeah.
Pikachu used quick attack.
Yeah.
In our
Exactly.
heads, we were playing out that quick attack
Yep.
from what we see on the anime.
And then
Kind
see
of thing.
like the pixel move slightly forward.
Yeah. Exactly. So now this game is the closest we've ever got to that.
Dude, those battles in this game, I love watching them. And you like move the
Yeah.
camera around, and you get to see him
Yep.
actually like charge. You get to see the little guy, the enemy, come at you or whatever. And you can
And I
get
don't
hit
wanna-
too, which is
yeah.
fun.
I don't want to sound negative on this game at all because it is the like I am completely like refilled or whatever rejuvenated or whatever because this game is definitely like the closest of what we've all imagined what Pokemon could be 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I think they'd known they'd have the sales, they'd known the brand would sell, and they have been staying true to that for longer than they probably should have,
Yeah.
I believe.
Well, they stayed on
And this is,
handhelds for so long,
yep,
so they had that
it's true.
excuse.
Yep. And this is their first time where they're like, hey, there is a demand for us to change. And
Yeah.
not saying their product's getting stale, but the way it's being presented to you is being stale. That's the way I'll say it. And this is the first time they finally was like, hey guys, let's reinvent the formula quite a bit. You know what I'm saying? And I am so appreciative of that, dude.
Yeah.
And it has made the gameplay so much more fun. I'm enjoying it. I love filling out the Pokedex because it makes more sense. Because like
Yeah.
you catch a Pokemon in the modern games,
Yeah.
and everything's filled out for you. It
Yep.
tells you what it is. They give you a synopsis
Yep.
of what it is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas this one is really cool because, by the way, it's going back on the anime thing. There's actually a genre of anime, by the way, that is alluded to this, where it's like, for instance, you get reincarnated, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Or you end up getting trapped in an MMO, like Sword Art Online. Like,
Yeah.
no spoilers, but I'm gonna spoil it for you because who cares? You'll literally see it in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what that's what this game is. And I was
Did you ever read the
extremely.
comic book called Die? I think it's called Die.
I have not.
It's similar to that. The way you made it sound, it makes me think of that graphic novel. It's by Kieran Gillian. He did the Darth Vader graphic novel series. But in that series, they play like a role-playing game or whatever, and then they get stuck in the role-playing game. Or they get reincarnated, kind of, in the role-playing game. So, like, there are different characters in there. And they get stuck in there for years, and then they come back to the real world. And I think one of them gets stuck in the fake world or whatever. It's just kind of how they have to live their life, and then they have to go save that person in the D&D
Right.
world.
I think it is a I don't know. It's exactly what you're saying. It's a God, man, it's a genre within the anime world, and I couldn't tell you technically.
What that name is?
Yeah, yeah, it's a name. That's all
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. But it is God, what is it called? But it's like Sword Art Online. They get trapped in MMO. I'm watching one called something Reincarnation, and the guy dies, and then he ends up getting reincarnated into a majestic, fantastical world, or whatever you want to call it. More or less, spoilers. That's what this game is. You start the game, and it's a bright blob talking to you, which is Arceus.
Yeah.
And it's literally you fall out of the sky.
Yeah. He like
That is
abducts
it.
you and then throws you back in time.
Yeah, you're a present day person within the universe of Pokemon, by the way. So we should make that clear. You're a present day person within the universe of Pokemon, which would say that any modern day like Pokedex or whatever it may or may not be, like you would already have the knowledge of knowing what Pokemon are, how they can coexist with you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas when you get turned back into was it Hisuian region or whatever?
Yeah.
It goes all the way back to the point where you're in a time where they just didn't understand that about Pokemon, and they didn't know what it was, or they, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's cool in the way of telling the story. I'm not going to fault that for that. It is interesting. I mean, they could have started off as you woke up one morning and
you
the tribe.
You're in this tribe of people, and you're the one who learned stuff about Pokemon, or
exactly the tribe leader could have
burning
been
bush
like,
of Arceus.
there you go. Yeah, it could have been either or. It doesn't matter, just how they chose to shoot the story. It is really cool though how Arceus more or less becomes a cell phone. And it actually gives you like modern hints of what modern games are. So they're like tying in the fact of how games work into this story of how Pokemon works, I guess you would say. And like, so that is really interesting. I don't know if that, how deep it is, for them to do it that way, but it is meant to be that way, right? So, like, in a weird way, they're trying to give you the canon or the reason why you can put a pinpoint on a map, which any gamer in any world is like, oh, I just want to be able to put a pinpoint on my map. I'm not going to think about it too much.
Yeah.
Whereas this story is like, this is why you can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it is kind of interesting, right? That they did do that. So, I mean, that's like the biggest spoiler to start the game, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
That would, start out that way. So, and that sets up the whole, game going forward, which the other systems feed off of, which is like you alluded to, and we are talking about the Pokédex system. I haven't been this in like any Pokemon game ever that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Even like Bite Off. Like I'm not going to have Bite Off or whatever his name is. He's not going to be Bidoof yet. He's not going to be in my party. Why do I care about Bidoof?
Because he's a beast.
Dude, I've literally caught like 10.
Yeah.
Because I want to fill out that little Pokédex. But I want to fill out the Pokédex page.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's the first time in a long time that it has gave me that excitement again, to where it's just like, because a lot of times when I play the games, I actually lean towards I don't know how to say this. Like,
do you know how long it's going to take to fill out this Pokédex? Though there's like 250 Pokemon.
Supposedly, there's a post game.
There
on
is.
This game.
After you fill out all of them, then you get Arceus or whatever. But you have to do that first.
Well, supposedly there's a post game and then a post game, which is really interesting. So I'm like kind of looking forward to what and how they do that.
Yeah.
But like, just the excitement for the game, though, it's got me like almost feeling as if I've been introduced into this franchise again, which is something amazing considering that it's probably one of the longest running franchises, right?
Right.
Like, I love the idea of having that grind of like, and it's really cool too, because you were alluding to it, like, not only back in the day, like, you would sit there and you'd battle these Pokemon over and over again, just to be able to get them leveled up to run through the X, Y, or Z gym leader. Well, now it's just like, actually, to fill out Pokedexes for X, Y, and Z, actually just catch them without being seen.
Yeah.
Catch them with a surprise attack, which is like if you catch them, you hit the Pokeball in the back. Catch them using a item that distracts them, and then catch. Like, it's really cool because now, like, not only did it used to be like you have to weaken them to catch them, that's still part of the game, but that's only like a quarter of the way that you can obtain the Pokemon now.
Right.
And believe it or not, like, that's changed it so much, right? Like, I'm so enthralled with it. It's to the point where I'm like, dang, dude, like, I'm ready to go. Let's keep playing.
I miss gym battles, but I think the boss battles and stuff that they have in the game are cool. And I think all the battles are tough enough to be gym battles anyways.
Oh, yeah, the game's harder than... I actually, before you even get into the point you're talking about, I actually came across I can't remember what the name is called, with a red-eyed creature or whatever it is.
Yeah. The Rapidash is right there at the starting area.
Exactly, dude.
He's
and
like
I literally...
40.
Yep, and I was like, there's no way I can beat the Rapidash.
Run.
And he spotted me, and it showed the little red eye. So I'm sitting here trying to dodge just to get away from it, because I knew that my Pokemon couldn't handle it, Like, I knew it could... And that's pretty cool, because that hasn't been in a Pokemon game since...
one hit very quickly.
Yeah, like, I couldn't tell you, man. Like, when... And it's really cool because, like, I understand Nintendo and Pokemon have this weird thing they have to balance. And what I'm saying is, I'm an adult male now.
Yeah.
I understand video games. I beat some of the hardest video games that ever existed, including Souls games, Bloodborne, and Sekiro.
Mega Man 2.
I enjoy playing challenges. Like, actually, for the majority of the time I play games, like, I like to have that sense of accomplishment, and normally that comes with something being challenging.
Right.
Whereas Pokemon was just like, hey, every time we make a new generation, we're still going to have the same people come back because they just want to see what's new for the majority of the time. Right. But we don't want it to be too hard for a new set of people that we can bring in, which is literally new generations. Like, my nephews are playing Pokemon now, right?
Right. But
they're coming in on Sword and Shield. Like, I gave my kid a stuffed Score Bunny today, and he was more excited about a Score Bunny, my nephew, than a Pikachu.
Than a Pikachu or a Charmander.
I was like, I had a Pikachu and I had a Score Bunny. I had two nephews. He was like, which one do you guys want? he was like, "Oh, cool, Squirt Bunny," and he wanted one of them wanted Squirt Bunny, and the other one was like, "Oh man, I got stuck with Pikachu."
No one's ever gonna buy me a stuffed Machamp.
True, but that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's really that shows you the power of the IP. First of all,
yeah, definitely.
And that has been the intention. But I believe like this is the first game where they've literally kind of said, "Hey, wait a minute, like, let's actually reward the 1998 fan again. Let's reward that." And I'll say 98 because I think that was North America, or 99. I think 97, 95, 96, 95 might have been Japan.
Yeah.
But like, it's literally saying like, let's actually treat these people as adult gamers.
Yep.
And that is so cool, man. Like,
as a kid, like games, like even if they were hard, like you would put the time into it until you got it. It wasn't like a thing you just quit. I mean, as a kid, you got all the time in the world, anyways.
So when I played, Red and Blue originally, I remember getting beat by almost not every gym leader, but Brock beat the shit out of me. I always want to remember that. Brock beat the shit out of everybody, unless you chose a Squirtle.
Yep.
Or Bulbasaur, and almost everybody chose Charmander because Charizard was the everybody loved Charmander.
Yeah,
I believe Squirtle and Bulbasaur, you had to be a certain level before you learned your first water move and or first grass move. Yep. If you didn't have those,
you'd have to get like a water Pokemon somehow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, you couldn't get one. The only way in Pokemon Blue and Red. The only way outside of the starter that you can catch any Pokemon that had a super effective move against Brock was Mankey. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the only Pokemon that you could catch that had a super effective move.
Yep.
And it was a fighting move. Yep. That was it. Period.
Yep.
And I remember Brock beating the shit out of so many people because of that.
Yep.
And then like in Pokemon Yellow, you're kind of screwed because you got stuck with Pikachu. So if you didn't catch a Mankey, if you didn't overpower your characters, I remember the first time that man, we're going on tangent, dude. We can call this Pokemon podcast because it's beautiful. The first time that I beat Brock as a kid, my brother's older than I am by about roughly 4 years, and he didn't catch a Mankey because the only way to catch a Mankey is actually go down to the I can't remember the road now, but it's a certain route after Peter Town or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I know what
you're talking about. And it leads to the Final Four. Yeah, and there's a couple grass fields that will allow you to catch a Mankey, more or less. If you don't catch that Mankey, Brock's going to beat the shit out of you because he's got rock Pokemon.
Brock is loading his rifle as you speak if you don't catch his damn Mankey.
The only way you're going to get out of it is if you have a Squirtle and or a Bulbasaur that's high enough level that has a
healing factor
and or water move. Now, I will say, I believe at one point, and I might be wrong on this, I do think you could catch a Nidoran, girl or female, and I believe they can learn Double Kick, which is a fighting move, which would help you out quite a bit too.
Right.
So that's the only other Pokemon outside of Mankey that could actually, and maybe a Bellsprout too. I might be wrong about that, but normally I think those are slightly after Brock. I'm just saying Brock was hard shit. Okay, when we first got into Pokemon, Brock was hard.
Would gesture towards a noose and then like Mac on Nurse Joy after you got devastated.
If you played Pokemon Red and Blue, not Yellow, you could actually catch a Pikachu in the forest. I can't remember the name of the forest. I'm sorry, people. It's listening to this. You're gonna be like, yeah, it's blah 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 forest. So that first forest, you can actually run into a Pikachu. So if you catch that Pikachu and then you run through, whatever the next mountain is, because you go through a small dungeon, whatever it is, that Pikachu is going to run through Misty. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're going to destroy Misty. Second to that is, I believe it was Lieutenant Surge at that point. But if you're keeping up with it,
Pokemon guy.
Yeah, exactly. You can catch a Sandshrew, an Onix, you can catch a Geodude all before him. You can run right through him. Then the fourth one is the Leaf, whatever her name is. I can't remember her name either. Why am I blanking on the name?
These people.
She had like a Bioplume, for instance.
Yeah,
you actually got to EV beforehand. But for the most time, everyone called it PG. So if you had a PG, you probably had a PGI or a PGO, depending on how hard you grinded. He knew Gus, so you run right through that gym. So literally, like the only gym that has a weird kind of
was the very first one.
element deficiency between Pokemon that you can't obtain was Brock. So
Yeah.
he was hard as shit. And then Giovanni was hard as shit because Giovanni was the first one that actually had a different set of styles. So before Giovanni, you literally fought every style. It was grass, water, psychic, fighting, etc., etc., etc. There wasn't a fighting gym. I know people are like, "Oh my gosh, this dude doesn't have Pokemon." Yes, I understand. It was a side gym. That's how you got Hitmonchan, and it wasn't a full gym, as in the badge gym. But yes, there was a fighting gym in the original Gen games. It just wasn't a badge gym. So yeah, that's how you got Hitmonchan, etc. And then Giovanni, when he fought him at eighth, if you weren't strong enough, he actually had a set of Pokemon that were not a style, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they were a distinct style. So again, when the very first Pokemon game that you played, it was probably the hardest game until this one. Period. I'm not even joking. Like Gold and Silver had its moments.
Emerald had the Battle Academy or whatever.
Yep. Even Shining Pearl and Diamond, like a lot of people say, it has one of the best Elite Fours, which it does because they do have a distinct. Each of the Elite Four members are not a style type, which the original almost all the other games are that way. But again, you can just grind past all of that if you wanted to, in some ways. But this game, more or less, is like, hey, that Rapidash that we were talking about, that's Brock. You know what I'm saying? Like that is Brock. You're not going to beat that Rapidash unless you know what the hell you're doing.
By the way, something I should tell you too is if you beat one of these red eye things and you don't catch it, like you kill it, they'll come back. So don't worry if you kill it.
Okay, that's good.
It takes a while for it to come back, but it does come back. I learned that today.
Okay, cool.
Because I got very scared because I was like, I keep killing these things, and I like what? Because I caught a Geodude like that. It was like a level 3 something Geodude. Now he's a Graveler or whatever he is.
Right.
But yeah, he's a heavy. They're called heavy Pokemon or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, he's just an OP Geodude. But if you kill him though, they come back.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know because it's back in the day, you find a legendary and you kill a legendary, they don't come back.
There's no going back.
So you always save prior to it.
Yep.
So that way, if you killed it, you turned your system off and try again. But just kind of like bring it all back, man. It's one of the things where, again, what you're alluding to, there is a lot of new to this game. There is a lot of and old as well, but they've done enough,
right,
to truly say, hey, we do understand you're out there. We understand there's old fans out there. We understand, in a weird way, they're giving more attention to the fact that, they don't have to handhold us anymore. Right. If that makes any sense. And I'm hoping they continue with that with whatever game they come out with next, because you were alluding to it. Now, Pokemon has a lot to go off of, right?
I think this is a good base. Like a good basing point.
Because, I know I brought up to Breath of the Wild originally.
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild, the number one model that you have to worry about in Legend of Zelda is Link.
Yep.
There's you just said, and I don't even know the max number because I haven't looked it up because I didn't want to be spoiled. But you just said there's 250 plus, 250 maybe
plus.
And every single one of them is a distinct model.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
So that's kind of so Pokemon does have something that they have to worry about, I guess you can say, right? Because you don't want to, and I know it sounds weird. I understand that, for the majority of people, everyone has a favorite Pokemon.
Right.
And I would say if you do a poll, 1 million people, you're going to have a high percentage of Pokemon towards that Pokemon. So, for instance, Charizard will be a high percentage. Pikachu, be a high percentage.
Blastoise
yeah,
will be a high
probably.
percentage.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of Gen 1s. But, man, you're going to have someone out there who's going to be like, oh, yeah, man, Muck's my favorite Pokemon. And you're like, what the fuck? Excuse my language, but why the hell do you like Muck?
It's like me and Machoke and Machamp. No one cares about Machoke and Machamp, but me, I do. I
Yeah,
like him.
you're going to have someone out there. It's just inevitable, man. It's
Yep.
going to be a thing. Someone out there is going to want that muck.
Yep.
So Pokemon
Exactly.
knows this, so they can't sit there and be like, "Hey guys, let's just not animate Muck." I don't know if he's in this game. I'm just giving you an example because he's
No
the first one.
suckle.
Shit. Well, yeah. So
Canceling my pre-order.
we'll throw a Jinx out there. I don't care who it is, but it's just like we have to animate this character still. Like
Yep.
they can't ignore it. Is what I'm trying to say. Um, and it really for this new, let's say, way of doing this game, it's kind of surprising they went with 250 because like they could have probably done a little bit better and had it look, like you said, a better optimization, better graphics or whatever
Yep.
if they went with a smaller
Draw
panel of
distance.
Pokemon. And that's one of the things that my brother and I, because he's older, again, I alluded to older than I am, we were talking about it, is if in a weird way, even though we've seen Gen 1 1,000 times,
Right.
but what if they chose Gen 1, did a full open world, not even a hub world? So they took what this game is, made it an open world, and only allowed the original 151.
I would be okay.
So
with
that way, I mean, a lot of people would be because it's going to be the most recognizable. But I'm just saying, like, that way you're kind of bringing in your parameters and you don't have to worry about animating all these other styles. I mean, you don't even have to worry about fairy style, for instance, which is a type, or
Right.
steel type. You can get rid of those two types and you can
Yep.
just focus in on, a small portion amount. So that way you can, like, even dive into your assets and actually make it a more defined experience. Now, don't get me wrong, man. I am enjoying Arceus. I am so glad they've done this. It is such a fresher breath of air.
Yep.
But like you alluded to it, we kind of hitting to getting to this point. Like this is a great, great start of where Pokemon needs to continue to go
Right.
and needs to continue to evolve. Like because again, the game is great. I mean, I've actually really enjoyed it. All the reviews, I've seen people on Metacritic are like, the only reason why this is in the mid 80s is because it's Pokemon.
Yeah.
There's probably some truth to that, but at the same time,
I still
the
think
only
it would
reason,
be an 8 regardless.
but the reason why I think it's true is because of how much they changed from the
past
original
games.
set, and that's the reason why I believe it's being reviewed as it's being reviewed because it's like. The majority of all of these people who play this game are coming from Brilliant Diamond or whatever you call it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're coming from this old methodical way that we've experienced Pokemon for so many years. And Sword and Shield was like,
Sword and Shield out of the water too.
dude, I agree 100%. It's one of them things where it's just like, I'll be honest with you. This game's not a 10.
No.
But it's the first game I've played.
I think it's in the 7-8 range.
I would say that based off of like how we would, majority of ranking of games, because one of my biggest gripes in this game, and I cannot wait until, and again, it's not because they don't have the money, because we know Pokemon has the money. We know they have the money. Man, why can't we get some voice acting, man?
Oh, I know. I can't do it.
Dude, my first interaction with Pokemon was Saturday morning cartoons when Ash was like, "Hey, Pikachu," or whatever it was, dude.
My thing is, why do all the Pokemon still sound 8-bit?
Yeah, like there's
Make them say their names.
That too. There's nothing like I understand in Zelda. Maybe we don't want to voice Link.
Yeah.
I get that.
And I understand the main protagonist. Maybe he shouldn't talk either, but the other characters.
Yeah. Exactly. The first time we met Link, he didn't have a voice. It's fine.
Yep.
The first time I met Ash in the Pokemon world, they all talked. From Professor Oak to Ash. And now you're giving me this new game and you can't give me some voice acting? Like, what is... Dude, the first hour, there's so much dialogue in this game. And you're sitting there in your head like...
just clicking the button over and over and over.
Give me some voice acting, man. Like, I just don't understand. That's what
I just click.
But yeah, like, it's weird because it's almost stuck in its ways, right?
Yep.
And they know they can get away with it.
Yep.
For the most part. But again, that's probably one of my biggest quick gripes. But again, I am so thankful for what they've done. It's the first game in a long time that I'm like actually actively thinking about like, I actually kind of want to play this game.
Yeah.
And what's really nice about it, by the way, is it's a passive aggressive game. And what I mean by this is I'm watching How I Met Your Mother right now for like
While
the second
just
time
playing
or
it,
third
yeah.
time.
Have you watched
And
How I Met Your Father yet? I heard it was
I
trash.
haven't yet. There's a lot of people that are not fans of it,
Yeah,
so I'm
my
kind of
brother's a
worried.
How I Met Your Mother big fan, and he's not a fan of it.
Yeah, I enjoy How I Met Your Mother quite a bit. It took
Yeah.
me a while to get to it because laughing tracks and like clap tracks kind of
Yeah.
bummed me out originally.
Right.
Um, but then once you watch enough of them, they actually become a background noise almost. So it got to a point to where it didn't bother me as much. And How I
Right.
Met Your Mother does have a. All right, man, you're just throwing me some tangent. I'm sorry, we're going long tonight, but we're going long. I can't help it. I hope some
It's
people
all right.
listen to this.
After we end this, I'll probably wrap us up because we gave our thoughts on
Well, no,
Arceus, and we can
yeah,
always come back to it too.
I do want to drop one more thing after this
Yeah.
scheme related, and we can be short on it. But it is something I'm really curious on because one of our old things that we used to listen to brought this up,
Yeah.
and I think 2022 will be a year for this. So that's a little spoiler for like 4 minutes from now
Yeah.
when we're super famous and everybody wants to hear this. But How I Met Your Mother has a character named Barney.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people end up, yes, and people really enjoy Barney.
Yeah.
I think they end up not because a lot of people see themselves in Barney, but he is definitely the way I look at it, he is the character that no one sees themselves sees himself as, but he has almost the most growth in a way, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like the majority of people watching, including you and I, we are Teds, right? Almost all of us are Teds or Marshalls.
Yeah.
Almost every single one of us are. And it's really weird because when I watch this show, it just goes, I see you as Ted so much, Tanner.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be like negative or even positive because Ted's a dope character, but like for the longest time, you were not having troubles, but you were having some bad luck, right? When it came to like,
I never claimed to be a freaking, I never claimed to be Barney.
right? But well, not necessarily you're Barney, but like I'm just saying, like in a weird way, like you came off as Ted, right? Like
Yeah. In a long relationship, got out of it.
Yeah, I guess we're all kind of Tedners, to be honest with you. But I always thought when I was watching, I was like, man, like, damn, Tanner's Ted, like,
Have you
and
met
of course
Ted?
yeah. So like, it's just one of the things where but we're all Ted, right? We're all Ted, but we're not Ted, if that makes any sense.
Right.
We're all Ted until we're Marshall. That's what it is, and that's what's so kind of glorious about that show is you see yourself as Ted and Marshall consistently. Like you literally see yourself as Ted until you're Marshall. That's it. And then Barney is like, I think everyone knows of someone or has someone in their life that is a Barney.
Instantly, I know a Barney.
Yeah. But Barney's character ends up being like everybody enjoys Barney because he is the relief, right?
Right.
Because like Ted and Marshall is the monotony of everyday life.
Yep.
Where Barney's character is literally written as in like, hey, what do you do for a job, Barney? And he's like, ha, you'd like to know. Like that's Barney. But he's making all this money, which we would all kind of like, in a weird way, like that's our.
Yep.
We'd love to be Barney in some ways, right?
Yeah.
So like, but Barney's character ends up being, in a weird way, one of the most caring, I guess you can say, and like growth curve. And I remember this, and this is just going on my tangent. So last year, again, last episode, as we started this back up, I've had a baby daughter now.
Yeah.
I watched that episode, and it literally, got me teary-eyed. It brought tears to my eyes because I don't know if you've seen all of How I Met Your Mother?
I've seen most of it. It's all bits and pieces, but I know exactly what you're talking about with Barney.
So,
yeah.
And he is more or less, something happens in the show. I'm not going to spoil that.
Yeah.
But he ends up resting on who he is. He's like, I'm going to be this kind of guy until the day I die.
Yep.
Even though there's a curve or a arc that makes you think it won't be that way.
Right.
Not spoil it. And then he drops these lines, and he was just like, there will never be a woman, et cetera, that will ever make me feel X, Y, or Z way, And then literally something happens in the show. I'm going to spoil this portion. More or less, he finally knocks up someone.
Yep.
Even though that's a gag, that's a joke through the whole series. Like it happens 3 or 4 times, he gets off with it. And he walks into the hospital and she has the kid. And the doctor's like, "Would you like to meet your daughter?"
Yeah.
And then he literally holds her and he was just like, the same thing I was kind of alluding to, or whatever. He repeats the exact same phrase of saying he'll never have anyone live his life that way or care for him out.
Right.
And he drops that on her. And it's just like that moment, and it just kicks you in the chest. And you're like, damn. You know, and again, it hit me a little different too because,
I'm sure.
I was getting ready to have one of my own, but like, there is some truth to that. But that is a great show. Now, why don't we? Again, I can't remember why we got on Pokemon. Talk about your mother, but I had to tell that tangent. It's a great story.
Great. That's awesome.
don't watch How I Met Your Father. Supposedly is trash.
Apparently, I mean, I don't know. Apparently, I need to watch How I Met Your Mother. I was just thinking about that. I was like, maybe me and Kaylee, my girlfriend. Maybe me and her can watch the whole thing through.
Yeah. The reason why I brought that up was because we were talking about Pokemon Arceus, where it's not a full attention game. That's why we brought it up, because like that's what I'm watching right now.
As any TV show on in the background, you're pretty much good.
I wouldn't say any TV show. Like if you're trying to watch Ozark, nah, it's not gonna work. Yeah. But I've already watched How I Met Your Mother. I'm like in New Girl, for instance. I'm a big New Girl fan. I'm a big Office fan, Parks and Rec fan. I've seen them so many times, like I can literally just hear what's going on TV, and I know, I know the exact scene. Like the scene is in my head. Like I know exactly what's going on. And that this Pokemon game, like it's not that hard, I guess you'd say. At the same time, it can lend itself to be in certain situations, but it is one of them like you don't have to be completely 100% invested in it.
Right. It's a fun game, and the fact that it can be a game like that, I think serves its purpose.
So here's the thing I was on last tangent, and like you say, next 15, 20 minutes before I wrap this up, because I'm really curious what you think about this too.
Okay.
Because Pokemon Arceus, like in a weird way, Deathloop got 10s last year, right? And I haven't really played it. I bought it, never even played it. Well, let me rephrase. I played it very little, I guess you would say. Like, not enough to actually say I can render a verdict on it.
Yeah.
I've already played Pokemon more than I played Deathloop, and I bought Deathloop on sale on, like, Black Friday.
Yeah.
But, Deathloop in some outlets is a 10.
Is a 10, yeah.
But yet Deathloop, to me, is the core of the game in some... And what I mean by core is the way you move and the way you interact with the world.
Yeah.
Is seen across pretty much every game, from multiplayer to single player, etc. There's so many of those things as you can do. Pokemon is that way in some ways, but really just in allusion to Pokemon, even though there's a lot of spin-offs now.
Yeah.
But like, I'm enjoying myself more in Pokemon, and it put its hooks in me more already. But I know that game's not a 10.
Yeah.
But yet, Deathloop is a 10, but I'd rather play Pokemon right now than I would ever play Deathloop.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm sitting there thinking, and I was listening to Kind of Funny as one of the few I've listened to in a long time, and they were bringing up one of the members made a like a bet or whatever you call it, like their predictions that there will be at least 3 10s this year from IGN. And the first thing I want to bring up is like, what is the experience of a game that is not a 10, but yet you enjoy it more than a 10 that you would play or would have played, if that makes any sense?
Oh, well, I've got plenty of those.
And then my second one is, because I've thought about this a lot since he said this, I think 3 10s, I think there's almost, to me, I think there's 3 guaranteed 10s, easy guaranteed 10s this year.
I don't.
I think there's, okay, let me rephrase.
Well, maybe.
Let's say they release this year. How about that? That actually releases this year. We'll say if they actually release in 2022.
Okay, yeah, I could see 3 10s. Yeah, okay. Now that I've thought about it more,
I'm saying I'm saying 3 10s, as in like I think there's 3 10s that are an easy call out to be 10s.
Yep.
And then I think there's probably anywhere between one or two that's probably has a chance of being 10.
Yep.
And there's probably another one or two or three of things we don't even know may be 10s yet. And
Right.
my best example of this is Celeste, for instance, for Nintendo.
Right.
When
It
people were
dropped and
giving
it
that
was a
10
10.
stuff.
Yep.
And people were like, dude, this game is phenomenal. So
Yeah.
that was my first part of the question. And I'm just curious, what are a couple games that you know off the top of your head that are 10s to you for sure that you would rather play day and night other than actual 10s that exist? And then we'll dive into the next portion real quick and we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Because I got a couple too.
Yeah, I could be quick. For me, you know, a game that's a 10 is something that, you know, drives my attention, makes me want to keep playing it. My game of the year last year, Keaton, was Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't think it would be a 10, but it would definitely be like a 9.5 or a 9.8 to me. With the amount of time I put into a game, I would say that Marvel's Avengers would be a 10. DC Universe Online would be a 10. Yeah, very controversial here. DC Universe Online would be a 10. Star Wars The Old Republic would be a 10.
Hey, well, now that game is reflected. A lot of people would say it's a 10. Like
Yeah,
a lot of people.
well, I mean, even when it first started, I would say it was a 10 because just how many different storylines and campaigns. I mean, it's 20 games in one when you first get started.
Yeah, right. He's the Old Republic, right?
That's why those. If you can grab my attention, and I love you, you know, to the point of, you know, I'm gonna keep playing.
Which one? Is Old Republic and Knights of the Republic? Those are two different, right? Because both of them are considered.
Knights of the Old Republic's definitely a 10. Knights of the Old Republic 2 is a 10.
Okay. That's where. Okay, I'm following you now. Okay, gotcha.
And then there's like, you know, some like games of my childhood. You know, Star Wars Battlefront 2, that would be a 10 to me. The OG, you know, Star Wars Battlefront 2, that would be a 10 to me. But yeah, those. I mean, there's lots of games where they're clearly not 10s, but they're 10s to me.
Exactly, and that's kind of was alluding to. And you actually have more than I have.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure, like, if I really like thought about it, I wouldn't say Marvel's Avengers is a 10.
Well,
like that one's not a 10. I will take that one off my list. But I will say I put more time into Guardians of the Galaxy last year than any game, and it was my favorite game. So last year it would have been a 10 for me.
Those games are like, I feel like, more interesting because, like, the reason why I say that is, for whatever reason, I've always been, even before reviews were a thing, and what I'm saying is reviews, I believe there is a psychosis, I guess, that goes on if you read a review of something prior to actually experiencing it yourself.
Yep.
It could, I'm talking about movies, whatever it may be, it can create, and the first example is the new Spider-Man movie. Phenomenal movie.
I love that
movie. Everything that I read prior to it made it sound like it was the greatest thing ever.
They were lying. I'm kidding.
And but for me, it just wasn't. You know, like it was like, oh, that's a really good movie. You know, but it wasn't like
life changing.
The greatest. Like, and I told you as we watched in the theater, like Doctor Strange to me, had a bigger impact just because the way that movie ended. Because to me, it was just like there is so much more thought and creativity in the actual climax of this film than that Spider-Man film was.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be negative to the Spider-Man film, but like it's just true. And again, that depends on whoever sees that, you know, sense of entertainment. And that's why I brought this question up, because like I'm not saying Doctor Strange is a better movie, even though Doctor Strange is a good movie. But that's kind of like, you know, this different kind of thought process between individuals with their media. Right. But it's weird because like growing up, because you brought some past games, like my 10s, man, was like Final Fantasy VII, which is literally one of the most beloved games ever. Yeah. And a lot of people have as 10s. And then my next one, I would say, was Final Fantasy IX, which a lot of true RPG fans and true Final Fantasy fans would be like, yeah, that's actually better than 7 was. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Now, that one is a little different because a lot of people weren't as high on it, I guess you would say. Right. But, like, that it is, you know, in multiple but like, that was – because I actually beat 9 before I beat 7 because just the way I aged out, it was just a weird kind of thing. Yeah. And then, like, even, like, Final Fantasy X, which, again, a lot of people reviewed that as a 10, though. So I'm not saying that, but, like, I was a really big RPG fanatic, you know. Pokemon. But like one of the 10s that I had growing up was Jack and Dexter
Oh,
2.
dude, I love freaking Jack and Dexter. Jack 2?
Dude, Jack 2. But here's the weird
Jack
thing
3 was
about it.
my
Like
10.
I
I
remember
like
playing
Jack 2,
Jack,
but I like Jack 3 better.
but Jack 2 is regarded as the best one of the entries.
I know.
And it's so weird because like I didn't realize that until I got older, and then I look back at reviews, and
You
it
telling me
got
Jack
freaking.
X Combat Racing's not high on that list?
But it got like 10s and shit. And I was like,
Yep.
well, no wonder, no wonder I liked the game so much. Because back then I didn't really know too much about it. But like,
Yep.
then you look back on it, and so like it's weird because like I'm definitely nostalgic factor. Like, there's not too many games other than like I would say like Midway Hockey. I can't remember the name of it, but dude, I loved that game.
Yeah.
And it had like some NHL teams, but it was just like, dude, your puck was on fire, your mascot would go. Dude, that game was dope.
It was tight.
And I just played hundreds of hours of that game just because of playing with friends and stuff, So that's a 10 just because of the experience. But like, and another game, not even joking, you dude. Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah.
GameCube. My brother and I remember standing on the Pokemon ball. I think he had to stand on it for so many hours before Mewtwo appeared. All this bull, like unlocking the characters. I didn't know that game reviewed or is nearly regarded as one of the best games of all time within that genre, I guess you would say. But again, like, it is though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that game, dude. And that's one of mine. So that's another one. It's just like, well, shit.
Yep.
Like, I'm trying to think of more, but like, when I'm thinking of these memories of like these true games that like definitely shaped myself, like that was one of them. And then when I look back on it, I was like, well, shit, that was a 10 for the most part, right? Like, highly regarded as a 10. It's not just me thinking it was a 10. It really was a 10. Same thing with Paper Mario
Same
on
thing
the
with
GameCube.
Knights of the Old Republic with me. And
so So when I come to think of it, like, I don't have too many out there that actually, in hindsight, didn't review like extremely well. Like, I don't have one that was just like, hey, this game's like a 7, for instance, right? But I see it as a 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not too many out there that like comes across my mind. So it's pretty interesting, because either or, I just fell in line with those games, right?
Yep.
The only one I could think of before I segue into the next segment is a game called Too Human.
I remember Too Human.
And it was a highly regarded game before it came out. Let me rephrase that, before it came out. But I really enjoyed that game. Didn't beat it. Played a lot of hours into it because of like, it was almost like Destiny before it was Destiny, dude.
Yeah.
Different weapons, different armor, like you can make all these builds. And another game, actually, I'm kind of coming back on this now. Dang, that game opened up my mind. There's a game called Lost Planet.
Oh, I remember Lost
Planet.
Lost Planet 2. I used to play the demo for
Yeah,
Lost Planet 2 like crazy on my PS3 because I had no money.
Dude, I don't understand why Capcom doesn't come back to that series, man.
I don't know either.
Because Lost Planet 1, honestly, Lost Planet 1 hit at a special time because that was the onset of Xbox Live. And what I mean by that, it was the 360 era. It came out within the first year, at least within the first year or second year of the 360 online. And Xbox did have online, like the original OG Xbox, but the only games that were really being played still on the OG Xbox, like Halo 2 was carried through, right?
Yeah.
But like when the new 360 came out and it became more acceptable and easier to be, to get online, like immediately, like the Halo 2 online talk, I wouldn't say it disappeared, but it turned into Call of Duty 2.
Yeah.
Call of Duty 2 was like, dude, you got to play this game.
Right.
Which again that game sold Xboxes because Halo 2 was already online, but like that game sold Xboxes because like you have to try this online.
Yeah.
And it bled into what we see now as one of the biggest IPs on earth. But then like after that, like during that window, I remember playing the crap out of Call of Duty 2, Madden. Finally playing Madden online was a huge thing at the time.
Yep.
And then we got into, because this is before Halo 3 came out, right? And we're still on Call of Duty 2. Lost Planet came out, but before Lost Planet, Gears of War, which was probably my biggest entry. Like, I loved Gears Online, dude. That game was phenomenal online, dude. So many hours spent. Phenomenal game. That's probably one of my 10s, but again, if you go back and look at Gears of War, it's literally, I mean, it's 9s and 10s across the board.
Yeah, it
So,
is.
like, even though it's one of my 10s, but like, I mean, I put hundreds of hours in that game online, dude. My
Right.
brother and I would play split screen co-op online, dude. It was one of the greatest memories I have in that game.
Yep. I have the
But
same thing with Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, playing co-op on those
yeah,
games.
those are definitely 6 to 8s that you're giving
Yeah,
10s.
six to eights that like I just were beloved by me and my cousins because we got to
Yeah, yeah.
teamwork together.
But yeah, that's again just the conversation because like that's why Lost Planet I think ends up being that way because Lost Planet was the next Gears of War for me. It was online. It wasn't technically Gears good, but it was close enough.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it had a good online system. And then of course, Lost Planet 2 was 4-player co-op and like mass boss battles. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, that series had a lot going for it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird. I don't know if they fumbled it or what happened with it, but it just kind of went from the wayside, man. And then the other game I was going to tell you, which lost a little bit of it and then it gained it all back, was Rainbow Six Vegas, man.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many people on that played Rainbow Six Vegas online.
Yep.
I played it online.
Yep.
Get that max rank so you can get the camouflage that you wanted to do. So
Yep.
you got to edit your own camouflage. Just dope shit, dude. It's just dope. Dude, early Xbox 360, dude, it was some good days.
See, I
Good.
was a PS3 man myself, so I don't have any of those memories.
Well, see, I had PS3 too, and I actually remember playing
Modern Warfare 2 was huge for me.
Killzone 2 online, dude. Oh man, I played a shit ton of
Modern
Killzone 2
Warfare 2
online.
was the big one for me. Modern
Well, see,
Warfare 2
Modern
and
Warfare
Black
2
Ops.
was. I played all my cross stuff, or whatever, but systems. I played them all on Xbox. So like
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, which I played way more than Killzone 2 online. But like I remember getting, dude, I can't remember what it was called. It was called SOCOM, and it started with the C. It was just an
Was
online game only.
SOCOM?
Yep, it was SOCOM. Man, I can't remember. It was just an online game. It was just on PS3.
SOCOM 3 then, most likely.
No. It wasn't SOCOM 3. It didn't have a name to it.
Was
It
it
didn't
just
have a
SOCOM
number.
then?
Nope. It started with a C.
Are you talking about the one that launched during the PSN crash?
It was no. That's SOCOM 4.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm thinking.
So
I played
SOCOM 3 came
SOCOM
out.
U.S. Navy SEALs on my PSP, but
Yeah, there was a SOCOM on the PS3 that was an online only game. That was not SOCOM 4.
okay. Well, I don't know then.
It was really cool because it was like, yeah, it had headshot sensitivity. It was really cool. That's actually one of the reasons I bought a PS3.
Nice.
It started with a C. Here it is. SOCOM Confrontation. That's what it was called.
Okay then.
Yep. SOCOM Confrontation. Dope game. And then, of course, SOCOM 4 came out later, which had a story as well as co-op play as well as online. And that's the one that crashed the PSN network. I mean, I don't know if that game necessarily crashed it, but
crash it. It's the game that released during the PSN outage, so people who bought the game couldn't play it because it was always online.
Yep. But yeah, I thought it would be,
they shut down the studio that made it, and I felt sorry for them. Zipper Interactive.
Yeah. They wish they had Zipper back now, man.
I guarantee they do.
If they can bring back SOCOM, dude.
They made great games for handhelds too.
Yeah, it's been enough time.
Yeah.
SOCOM needs to come back. And I don't care if it's who's making it, what they're making it. Now that Xbox has Call of Duty, it's time to bring back SOCOM.
Yeah, we need it. Let's do our 3 that we think are 10s of the year, because I'm pretty sure that they're probably the same, and then we'll wrap it up. So my 3 that I think could be 10s are God of War 2, Horizon, Horizon Forbidden West, and maybe Elden Ring.
Well, see, we're very similar.
Okay.
I think Elden Ring's a sure 10.
Okay.
I think it's
a 9.
I think Bloodborne is a 10. It's one of the best games probably ever created. I think Sekiro is 10. I think it's one of the best games ever created.
Just have different opinions.
There's a lot of people that believe Dark Souls 1 and at least 3 are some of the best ever created, including Demon Souls. I believe it's really good.
Yep.
from what I've understood and looked up, because Game Informer's running like this huge, like synopsis on it right now.
Yeah.
It is a highly touted game. The guy who is talking about it is more or less within. He's played 10 hours. He's like, I barely scratched the surface, and he is talking this game up. Like Elden Ring's a 10. Like I just don't see how the majority. It's an open world. They're doing what Pokemon Arceus is doing, dude. They're taking that formula and saying, hey, we have all these interconnected maps. What if we take those dungeons and make them separate, but then we take just as much as a thoughtful actual overworld to make you roll through it, and that overworld is what's going to be able to help create your character to where you grind your character, understand how to get more flask, understand, how to experience your skill trees, like even weapons and like all like. There's no way that game's not 10, dude. Like, I think that game Metacritic's going to sit at like a 93, 94, easy. So yeah, IGN 10, and that's why I said IGN 2, by the way, because I wanted to because it's GameSpot can give it 10, for instance, right? And then IGN can give it 9, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's what I was kind of just alluding, like 10s that will come from at least a certain outlet.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what outlet it is. I'm just saying there's going to be 3. So the next one you kind of alluded, I didn't even think about God of War.
Oh.
And now that you said that, I'm like, shit. So I was going to say, give me two or three more afterwards. So I'm going to keep that one in the back pocket.
Okay.
For that, because I think Horizon Zero Dawn Fudge, Forbidden West, I think it's a 10. Everything that I've seen from that game, because it was almost a 10 already when it first came out as a new IP.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me of Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 is a 10. Uncharted 1 was close to a 10.
A 9, yeah.
It's in some ways. So like, I definitely think this game it's going to be a 10. It looks like it has high production values.
Yeah.
It seems like they extrapolated the systems to the point to where like it just seems like it's there, right? It's time for its 10, and I think it'll be a 10. My third game, and again, I said hypothetically released in 22, because that's like the soft date they have on it, is Breath of the Wild 2. I just don't see how it's not 10.
I don't think it's coming out this year, so that's why it wasn't on my list.
Well, you're not wrong, but like I think
if it does, then probably, yeah.
God of War's in the same boat as that, though.
Yeah. I agree.
And I'm gonna throw you at least 2 or 3 more while we talk about it real quick, and we didn't even wrap this up, even though I'm just enjoying this massive talking. It's just fun.
Throw out the 2 quick.
God of War probably will be a 10 if it comes out.
Yep.
I think it has a little bit of challenge to it, and the reason why I say that is because it does seem a little more samey compared to the first one. That was a 10, and I say first one as in like the reboot. At the same time, though, I do believe the creators and the directors and everyone that's part of that game, I think they understand that, and they're only trying to show you what you think you know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just how like God of War was. Because I remember getting the Chaos Blaze in God of War, and I was like, dude, they are here. You remember you fucking, you roll the boat back, and you know exactly what you're going to get, and you're just like, yeah. So
yeah.
I'm sure they got that in that game still.
Right.
And my second one, this is not necessarily a reach because there's so many more. I'm gonna throw you out 4 more real quick, just give you an idea of what came out this year. But my second one, I'm just gonna say, I think Starfield. I think Starfield will be a 10. I think as long as Pete Hines had and what's his name, Todd Howard, as long as they have had and they have gave the time, they've understood the long tail of Skyrim, which has been going on forever. They're like, hey, let's give this game some time. You have as much time you. Dude, I think that game is going to be a lot better than what the majority of people even can think is coming.
Yep.
And the other 2 I'm going to throw out there, this 10 is just for you because I'm thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would be a 10, but it's a U10. That's the new Batman Arkham game.
I don't know about that one. Maybe. I'll put a lot of time into it, I'm sure. I don't know, man. Will you play that game with me? I need someone to partner with.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
Heck yeah.
Because my friends, they use Game Pass now. And they refuse to buy any game unless it's on Game Pass.
I mean, it's not bad.
So, I mean, I don't blame them, but, like, come on. Like, I want to play Suicide Squad. Like, I think that game looks fun as fuck. And I want to play Batman. I think it looks fun.
That was my other 10. I was going to say, I think Suicide Squad. I mean, Rocksteady, who pretty much... I mean, Arkham City was a 10. Yeah. Arkham Asylum like in hindsight, I think Arkham Asylum is just as good or tightly knitted game than Arkham City was. So
Yeah.
in more ways than one, it's technically a 10. I
Right.
think Arkham Knight is not necessarily. Is it Arkham Knight? It's Arkham Knight, right?
Which one?
Only reason why
The one with
the
the.
last one.
Yeah, yeah, that's Arkham Knight.
Yeah. The reason why I don't think it's necessarily a 10 is just because it did get a little samey towards the end.
It was the
Um,
car. No one liked the car.
yeah, that's race day, and that was the new thing, right? And
Mhm.
I don't think it just didn't end up being enough, I guess you would say,
No.
or not being enough. It just didn't end up. It ended up being grindy, I guess you would
Yeah.
say. I don't. It just something was off about it.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that.
so Suicide Squad, I believe, has every right with the time that it's had.
Hmm.
That I mean, it's probably gonna be a 10, right?
I'm excited for it, man. If they could inject some of the humor that's in freaking Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad, if that type of humor is in the game, I'm gonna love it.
For sure. And I don't see why they wouldn't. So, like I said, man, it's weird because like we gave three in our two different ones was Breath of the Wild and
God of War.
God of War, because we're just not sure when they're hitting
Yeah.
necessarily. But if they come out, for sure, I'm thinking they're going to be tens through, but more likely they're not going to be less than nines.
No,
You know,
none of these games I don't think are gonna be less than 9s.
it
Minus
just shapes
maybe
up.
Gotham and maybe Suicide Squad.
I think 2022 is going to be an insane year,
Yeah, I'm
honestly,
excited.
because I'll be honest with you, I'm getting Dying Light this upcoming week,
Yeah,
and I would not be surprised from some of the pre-release stuff that I've seen and heard.
hmm
I think it's going to get some tens, man.
it might, it very well
You
might.
know? And
We'll
that's
have to
just
talk
Dying
about it
Light
on the
2,
next
dude.
show.
Like, there's just dude. That new Kirby game, dude. Tens. But nah, without being,
If Kirby gets a 10, I will eat my shoe.
but nah, I just want to throw that out there because I think COVID kind of screwed up a lot of gaming release
Yep, and now
schedules.
everything's releasing now.
But I also think it gave a lot of studios time where they would have not normally had time because they were sticking to strict release schedules or
Yeah,
marketing schedules. And I think because of COVID, they're like, hey, let's, pump the brakes. Let's like, and what I'm saying is they just didn't announce a release date, right? Like,
yeah,
for instance, Suicide Squad was probably a 2021, at least Batman was. And it just changed the point of like, hey, let's release it, when we're ready instead
yeah,
of like, because of COVID, we can't have this massive roadshow
yeah,
marketing show. Say that 1,000 times fast.
yeah.
But I believe that's kind of like what happened. And 2022 is going to see a lot of high quality, great games release. And like, I know you didn't say this, but this is your 10. I'm calling it right now. And you can buy me a dinner if I'm not, if I'm right. Lego Skywalker Saga, dude.
It might
It's your
be.
10.
It
You
might
know,
be. It might be, man. I'm excited for it. It very well might be. All
we
right.
need
Well,
to
this
visit
was
this, dude.
Devil's Advocate, a video game podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to like, comment on the podcast feeds. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to get the next episode. But I hope you enjoyed our rambling of this entire episode. Keaton, we're near the 2 hour mark. But
Oh, yeah.
I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we'll see you next week with Keaton's thoughts on. I believe is that when the game comes out, Keaton, Dying Light.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes out Friday.
All right, so we'll hear Keaton's thoughts on Dying Light. I didn't play the first one, so I don't plan on getting this one unless it's on Game Pass or something. Then I'll play it, but you'll probably just have Keaton's thoughts for the most part. But
Yeah,
maybe some more updates from me on Arceus. But we'll see you next time, guys.
I'll be for sure.